Today's video is all about Kujira. Kujira is for everyone, empowering a decentralized economy for all. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive, looking into this project and figuring out whether it should make it to our portfolio for the up and coming bull run. We're going to be looking at the value proposition, the tokenomics, the utility behind this coin, and at the end of the day, does the team have what it takes to take it to the next level? So you know what, let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go bearish or bullish, up or down, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And today we're going to be talking about Kujira, because definitely Kuji has been doing very well. Lots of volatility to the upside. Guys, we're going to be looking at some of the value propositions here with regards to this project, figuring out ultimately, should we be scaling in? Should we be buying this project, buying some coins in order to prepare for the bull run? Does it have more legs in it to keep on going to the upside? Okay, so we're going to use the overall website for this video. We're going to use the website as the main platform for basically going over some of the details here. Okay, so this gives us an opportunity also to critique the way the website is built and demonstrating, or basically offering us the details that we need to get fundamentally bullish, right? You got to think about it. The website right now is the gateway to a lot of the information. So at the end of the day, they should be doing a good job giving it to us. Guys, the website has been updated. So I did a whole deep dive on this project a couple of days ago, and obviously leading up to today. And all of a sudden, the website gets changed and updated. So in a way, I am kind of seeing this website, this revamped website, fresh right now, live, pretty much. So we're going to be looking at this from a very critical lens, of course, to see what they got going on here as far as presenting new information, because that's also very viable if they're keeping us up to date with what is happening behind the scenes. And sometimes websites do get thrown to the back burner, essentially, not really focused on. So I'm glad to see that the Kujira team is keeping their website fresh and engaging. And not to say the older one wasn't good, because it was decent, and I like the visuals, but this is looking pretty good. Okay, so let's begin. Kujira is for everyone, guys. So the overall value proposition, in my opinion, is definitely right into the statement, empowering a decentralized economy for all. Now, I think what their main objective here is really to provide DeFi solutions, decentralized finance solutions that resemble traditional finance, solutions. And at the end of the day, removing those barriers to entries to some of those markets, some of those, instruments, those financial instruments that big whales have in the TradFi space, and bringing it over to DeFi, the decentralized, Web3. So guys, that's a really, really strong value proposition. However, if we talk about DeFi in general is a concept that's been around for a while. It is a narrative that is a little bit, has its age, it's matured, where it's not a fresh new concept or narrative, but nonetheless, their value proposition is unique. Their value proposition is rare. It's not really that there's a lot of projects doing what they're trying to offer, and ultimately, this is why we're seeing it do well. Okay, so let's get into some of the details. We're gonna scroll through the website first, and then we'll get into some of these links, learn more, start building. I'm assuming that if you're a developer, obviously that's where you would go, and you can learn more about the project. So we'll continue going down. The blockchain providing opportunity for everyone. Okay, maybe a little bit of a backstory. Again, guys, it's the first time I see this website, because throughout the week, as I was doing the deep dive, this website wasn't, this is a new version. Kujira is a blockchain revolutionary fintech, financial tech, Web3 builders, dApps, and protocols. Perfect. So it's an ecosystem. Obviously, it's an ecosystem project that allows developers to go and build on top and basically create Web3 applications. that specialize for DeFi. Which, guys, this is great. This is obviously one of the value propositions that we actually are looking for to decentralize the way we bank, the way we interact with our instruments, our economic instruments, essentially, right? We want to be able to decentralize those instruments, and this is really, really good, which is why we emphasize great user experience and operational sustainability. They put a lot of emphasis on their ecosystem, guys. This is what I really like about the team, is that ultimately their ecosystem is basically handpicked. Like, everything has to be have high standard, high quality, and it's scrutinized. And whenever a builder wants to build on Kujira, it's got to really have a high standard. Our mission is to our inspiration draws from the belief that everyone deserves access to tools and services to create wealth. These are the instruments that I'm referring to. We create better future with these opportunities and share more widely than the privileged. Obviously, the privileged get access to these instruments, while the rest of us, kind of just hang back and don't even know about them, for that matter. We provide a platform where financial tools are easy and effective to use without the need of specialized knowledge and training. So no barriers to entry, basically making things simpler for us. No friction, no red tape, none of that. Easy to research and easy to use. We all deserve a chance to be a whale. Very, very good mindset here. Very true. Why are we not being given the same treatment or access to these tools the same way the whales are? So this is really good. That's the value proposition. So it's not just DeFi, it's decentralized financial tools that are traditionally held away from the mainstream society, and now bringing them these tools, these applications to regular individuals like you and I. Perfect stuff here. Okay, so although it is an older narrative, the value proposition is good. It's strong. It's trying to. That's the point of differentiation that you got to really look at. Okay, so that's really good. The home of the financial future. Dream it, build it, ship it. Okay, start building if you want to. If you're a developer. And what's really interesting about this is that it's built on Cosmos. So Atom, if you understand what Atom is about, or Cosmos, you really understand that the whole focus is interoperability, right? Interoperability, allowing cross-chain communication. And cross-chain right now is probably one of the hottest narratives still, given the fact that as we see more blockchains, run up and do well and have their own ecosystems, we also have the need, or even the want, to interact with cross-chain across different ecosystems, not creating so many barriers, right? Not so many clear, distinct lines between the chains. In fact, we want to be able to go back and forth and kind of swap around and be part of all the ecosystems without friction. So that's a really good thing, a good choice for Kujira. And if you know its history, Kujira was once built on Terra Luna, and since its collapse, it decided to go on Cosmos, which is a great idea, and basically, a bit of a setback, of course, in its history, but you can see that the team was resilient, and that shows you that ultimately it already hit its bottom. If it didn't crash and burn based on that, guys, that this thing is here to stay. Just because of that, we know that it's super resilient, and the team is definitely focused to get this thing going. So really strong. The fact that it was able to bounce right back up and continue going without a flinch, it basically means that this team has already tested its bottom. So confirmation low already tested. So perfect stuff there. And this is not price action I'm talking about. I'm talking about just overall sentiment. The overall team, they already hit rock bottom, and all of a sudden they're coming right back up with a vengeance. So that's really good. DeFi powered by a sustainable yield. So they got obviously offering yield for being a participation of the economy, and of course the yield, we got to be really clear about what the yield is, and as long as it's somewhat sustainable, we're good. As long as they're not offering like crazy API or anything like that, we should be good. Sustainable, real yield, circular economy. What I like about that, and I'm assuming what they're talking about, what I like, that when I see the word circular, it's the basically understanding does they try to keep their economy floating within, or keeping the Kuji token within its own economy. They offer a lot of financial services that technically you don't want to off ramp. You don't want to take your tokens off within their ecosystem. They're going to stay in there, and obviously you get rewarded for that to happen. Non-inflationary yield distributed to Kuji stakers from fees generated by the products. Of course, like still there's fees fees for using the products, and they're distributed. Those fees are distributed to Kuji holders, to stakers. Kuji circulate hundreds of 70 million, blah, blah, blah. Okay, with no inflation. Perfect stuff. No inflation, it's not inflationary. What else? That's a really quick, they really consolidated a lot of the information in comparison to the previous website. So we got some socials here. I did go under Discord to ask a couple of questions. It was a bit slow like molasses, but at the end of the day, I got some responses. I expected a lot more engagement on their Discord, given the fact that the price has been running up and there was a few people talking about it. So I expected a bit more engagement there. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Okay, so we got some links down here, but did I miss anything? A lot of it is with regards to building. Explore the dApps. This is probably going to take us to the ecosystem, which is right here, native apps, and then trade. Okay, spot trading, token swap, the bots, integrated with bots and features. There's more features. This is Kujira native dApps. So this is pretty much explore the dApps. Let me go back here to make sure. Okay, this is explore the dApps. Now, if we go to ecosystem, I'm sure they have an ecosystem. Maybe not. Maybe that's the ecosystem. So again, guys, just to reiterate, discover ecosystem right here. So a little bit different. Okay, so let's go back and see what the difference is. This is a freshly improved website that I'm looking at. I did all my deep dive research with a different website, so I'm kind of winging this, which is pretty cool because it gives me a fresh perspective here. So yeah, native dApps, build on Kujira. Perfect. Okay, let's go back to here. So exploring the dApps, what do they got going? They have Orca. So these look like applications that are basically created by the team. This is what they have going on for themselves. Native dApps, let's make the circular economy. Yes, this is what I'm talking about. So once you're in the economy, once you're in the ecosystem, basically your tokens don't have to leave because you basically can use all of this. Kujira's chain is the home of Ghost, a money market, Orca, a liquidation platform. So basically you now have access to liquidation, so you can buy liquidated assets on the cheap. And Fin, our decentralized exchange, above all, these are the sister Sonar and Wallet. So a lot of good things here. There's plenty of room for more. What do you want to build? So honestly, you can build on right on Kujira. They have Orca, Fin. These are all applications that already exist. Working products. Stake on Blue Pod, the Finder, which is the Explorer, guys. I'm not crazy about the Explorer. We'll talk about this in a second, because you know how I like to look at the wallets that are holding the Kuji token, and unfortunately, guys, that's a whole different conversation, and I'll tell you about my experience there. But yeah, ultimately there needs to be a bit of improvement there. Kujira ecosystem, discover the projects building and integrating with the Kujira. So the relationships that they have is probably what we're going to see here with the ecosystem. So we have Plasma, Calc. These are all projects that are related to us in some way or another, whether they're partnerships or integrations or community tools or a native dApps. Like the native dApps are the ones that we talked about already. These are native to the Kujira ecosystem. But these are other ones that are, like, let's say, third party, that are using the Kujira ecosystem or involved in the Kuji ecosystem as a third party. So look, a lot of them still in the pipeline, soon. But you have some that are ready to go, like a Calc, Plasma, Unstake. These are all, so you can see a working ecosystem here. It's not like it's just all speculation. Now, this is directly related to its market cap. Like, if you think about it, this project's not a micro cap anymore. It was a micro cap, but it was running. We'll talk about price action. We'll talk about market cap in a second. Let's just continue. You can see its ecosystem. It's definitely flourishing. It's doing its thing. So really good here. Nothing more to say about its ecosystem. Okay, so let's go back to the main website. Let's go back here, and so that we don't deviate too far. Start building. What's that? Kujira is for builders. Let's see if we can get some info here. Vision. It is a layer 1, but we have to understand that it's built on Cosmos and it uses base layer. Its base layer is on Cosmos. Okay. So it definitely uses, it benefits from its interoperability of Cosmos, which is good. Yeah, so solid primitives, robust tooling. So why build on Kujira? Again, a lot of stuff that maybe doesn't pertain much, but price oracles, that's good. That's what we need. Obviously, every project that, especially in DeFi, needs an oracle of some sort. So ATWAP, time weighted average price. Okay, scheduler, token factory, interoperability, and it uses IBC. This is what I wanted to talk about in a second. So Axis, assets depositing from Ethereum's Solana and BTC interact with the entire Cosmos ecosystem seamlessly with proven security via IBC. That's a feature that Cosmos offers, is IBC, and that has to do with the interoperability. We'll talk about that in a little bit more. Trust framework, of course, the SDK that they offer for builders. SDK is just a package of functions that programmers could use to interact with the API, I guess, of the ecosystem, which is good. They can tap into a lot of what they got going on here to use and build powerful tools. Get building fast. Punk creates an entire local Kujira network complete with price feeders and a lot of good features here for developers. And you kind of want this support. I know I don't talk about this very often on the channel, but if they support development, they're actually supporting the ecosystem and the growth of the ecosystem, which also in turn increases the utility of the token, and also in turn takes tokens off of circulation and ultimately drives the price up. You can see the chain of events. You definitely want utility. You know, market cap is important as a metric to measure other altcoins and compare for, you know, speculation. But the reality, the measurement is utility and the volume, because the utility tells you that ultimately doesn't matter how much is in circulation and how many tokens are going to get unlocked or whatever the case is. Circulating supply is just basically a metric that kind of shows you how many tokens need to actually get off the market. And if the utility is there, believe me, people will be buying it up. So Kujira right now has been being bought up significantly based on the fact that the future value, the value proposition of its future is quite high. As you can see, they're investing in their development of more projects on its ecosystem, so the utility should go up. Pretty good stuff here, ultimately. Spot trading, so you can get into all these applications that we talked about that offer those features. Staking, of course, liquid pools, you can stake and earn. Let's see what happens. This is all fairly new to me, so I'm wondering. Also, you can kind of see the validators that are being staked, the dashboard. Oh wow, so this wasn't here. This is Blue. What's this wallet? That this is the whole staking platform that they got on here. So everybody's, I think about 50% is staked, if I'm not mistaken. A significant amount of tokens are already staked here for Kujira. A lot of people are liking it. They just changed everything up, but still you can see the 30% APR. That's quite high. Liquid supply, okay, and fully diluted value, 520 million. Token prices, it came down a little bit. It's been fluctuating just a little bit in the last little while. Blockchain high block time, inflation, total supply. You can see dot, and this is good. Mint, what is this? Anyway, we have some Atom, we have some Mint stars, so some daily token release schedule. This is pretty good, but it's all in circulation already. Everything's in circulation, guys. So we'll talk about the metrics again. So I'm just kind of going through this a little bit live with you guys. Like I said, I haven't seen this website before. They updated it on me without letting me know, unfortunately. Okay, let's continue. Documentation. Let's see what we got here. I'm sure we got some sort of white paper, which the white paper is decent. Hopefully this is it. Let's let it load. Okay, we'll let that load. Developer tools, core modular account, Rust documentation is, there's some Rust programming on. Rust is a difficult language to program, but still it's pretty, it's probably the best one for its speed and so on. So it's not bad. Documentation, developers, I'm hoping, and the native dApps, this is what we already talked about, and the ecosystem. Let's see what's going on with this thing. It's not really working. Kickstart page, developers, no. This is the Finder. Okay, let's talk about the Finder for a second. Where's that white paper? Look at the Finder. Unfortunately, like, you know when you go to Etherscan and you can see the wallets? This is their Etherscan. It doesn't really give you that feature, which is an unfortunate thing. Like here, you can put in an address, a wallet address, a transaction. If you have the transaction block, you have the contract or a token, you can put it in here and it will give you some information with regards to what you're looking for. However, I would have liked to see, you know, I want to know which wallets hold the amount of tokens. I want to make sure that, you know, we see the token distribution nice and basically distributed. We don't want one individual holding the majority of the tokens, right? So for me, that's a big issue, not being able to see the distribution, the token, the wallet distribution, especially the fact that all of them are in complete circulation, right? They finished their vesting period. They're fully vested. They're all out there, all in circulation, every single token. So from a tokenomics perspective, we're relying now on the complete ecosystem to take tokens off circulation through staking, right? Everything is in circulation here. Okay, so it's fully diluted. pretty much as it is. So something to really consider. All right, so we'll continue on the hunt here for that white paper. Let's see if we can get it down here. Getting started, GitHub developer to token list, nothing here. We got for everyone documentation. Let's see what we got when I click this. Here we go. This is the, let's say, a white paper. I would have liked that word white paper, but it's not necessarily. So a white paper, but let's say it is a white paper or it isn't. Regardless, there's a lot of detail here that can get you going. We got ecosystem information, which we kind of talked about already. If you want more details about all the the projects that they have already built, are high quality products. They're directly built by the team of the Kujira team. So they're native projects. They're not like third parties. There are other third party applications that we looked at, but these ones are built by the team. These guys have been putting in work, definitely. Where everyone can be a whale. This is their major value proposition. That's trying to kind of set themselves apart. You feel free to read that. And why Kujira? There's a little user developer experience. So they're also focusing on the developer, not just the user, because again, they value their ecosystem. So that's important. Just kind of reiterate the values. That's good about the team, the principles, sustainability. Meet Kujira. Okay, let's talk about the team here for a second. These are the three founders. All these links take you straight to their Twitter page. Unfortunately, there's no more than that. Okay, you're not going to get more than that. Okay, and ultimately, it's a bit of an issue, especially nowadays where we look for fully doxed teams. Now, some might say, that's somewhat doxed, a 50% doxed or somewhat doxed. Fine, I'll give it that. Because at the end of the day, someone's online persona could be very, very valuable. Right? Their personal life is not very important. Their online persona is basically what they're doing with their career, their digital career. And that's basically what you want. And sometimes, for the most part, professionally, your online persona is way more valuable to an investor or to your body of work than your personal life. So I truly understand that. The only problem is that with your personal life, you can keep yourself highly accountable, right? You can be basically found if something went wrong, if, whatever it is. So I'm not trying to spread FUD here, but what I'm trying to say is clearly is that the online persona can probably give you a lot of information that you need to get fundamentally bullish about the team. However, from a accountability perspective, an online persona doesn't give you that full sense of accountability. So there is a somewhat, a continuum here, or a range, or basically saying they're somewhat doxed. Okay, that's pretty good. You can go read up on them. You can go on their Twitter page, see what they're all about, what they got, going on there, what information they're willing to offer. I'm getting used to seeing LinkedIn pages, to be honest, and a lot of teams don't find that important, especially when you're young, meaning when the team is new. And the project is small, but as this project grows, the pressure to get docs is going to be there, even if the tokens are in complete circulation. I know at this point it's decentralized, but without seeing wallets as well, that bothers me. And relying on a third party to see I want to see wallets. I want to see which top 3 wallets hold the majority of the tokens. I want to see that. I want to see the token distribution, and I want to see which ones the founders hold. Because if you see how the tokens were vested or distributed, you can see that there's a possibility to see that maybe there is a couple wallets that hold the majority of the tokens. I want to see that. So either I can find it, either the team, because I asked on the Discord to give me an explorer where I can see the tokens that are being held on wallets, and I want to get that confirmation, and they weren't able to give me anything other than third-party applications that full of vague numbers and metrics. Okay, so I'm just throwing it out there. If anybody knows of any way to see the wallets, and I want to see the top 10 wallets more or less and how much they hold, and to get a sense of decentralization here. Okay, so let's continue. Kujira's ecosystem. Let's click. Let's kind of move down here. What's going on here? Nothing here. Our products, we talked about that. Maybe not. Blue, a little bit more details. It seems a bit repetitive there. Wider ecosystem. So they're talking about other projects being built on the calc, and these are like partnerships and so on. So these are public projects, which are cool, and they're participating with them. How to participate, moving funds to Kujira. Okay, a little bit of technicals. How can you migrate? Shipping lane. I'm not sure what this is about, but sea life lurking beneath the surface. Okay, let's move on. Security. A little bit more details. The media coverage, where they've been talked about by Ethereum at a big discount. Okay, got a couple links. I'm flying through this. You can see a lot, follow on Twitter, so on and so forth, get emails, everything that you need. Okay, so dApps and infrastructure basics, blue. And if you want to know about all they have like little mini white papers for all their little projects that they got going on, which is really, really cool. And they got a whole section for developers, which I like and I appreciate. And then we get down here for tokenomics. Okay, let's get into the tokenomics, because a lot of us want to know about this. For me, this is where you can assess risk, right? When you start looking at these types of metrics, there's lots of metrics when you assess a token. It's not just one thing, right? And they're all metrics. A lot of them are just for speculation, and it's just statistical analysis, really, at the end of the day. Like, if you look at a market cap of a project and you see it's a small market cap or a larger market cap, the market cap's not going to tell you much other than how it compares to another project with the same narrative, with the same value proposition or similar, and get a sense of an idea of how that project could eventually, basically compete with its competition within the same narrative. That's basically it. So if you're comparing Kuji right now with another DeFi platform, like let's say Aave or something like that, you're going to look at, what could Kuji do to basically catch up? And because at the end of the day, the market cap is an indication of how much of the pie of the total market cap they hold. And from a competitive perspective, Kuji has done really well, taking a lot of the market cap from competitors. Now, right now, we have a couple other metrics, of course, the token. And the token's supply right now it's in full supply, fully in circulation. So, and I'm glad that they're able to identify that the utility is so important here, right? The utility of the token. So supply, Kuji token is a native token. Okay, fine. It has a total supply, which is all in circulation. Originally, they had 150 million tokens, but they were burnt, which is fine based on governance of the vote. So basically, if you're a token holder, you can vote and on the governance of the token, and they voted to, burn. So that's pretty good. So bringing down the supply, ultimately driving the price up. Perfect. The Kuji token serves several important functions, okay, used to pay the network fees and dApp fees and collect fees collected and distributed to Kuji stakeholders. So basically, if you're staking, you're making passive income, and the income is coming from all the fees on all those applications that are that were listed there in the ecosystem. So good stuff. The release schedule. This is where things get a little bit, for me, a little bit bothersome, okay? Because if you look at the private sale, okay, you're looking at 27 million, 28 million private sales. So already we're seeing not really a fair launch. Okay, and I'm saying that using fair launch, not to say that it's not fair, but the way we talk about fair launch, for those of you that are new here to crypto, fair launch just basically means, where other individuals in basically society or within given an opportunity to get in at a different, let's say, risk proposition, right? And a private sale, you're exclusive. You get a really early, cheap price usually. You are able to accumulate a lot of tokens, and then all of a sudden it goes public. The reality is the people that bought in private bought at the rock bottom prices, and the people that got in the public sale started basically buying after it kind of ran up a little bit. So the incentive here for the private sale individuals to sell is a lot higher once it goes public and the volume kicks in, because ultimately they bought a very, very bottom price, and will they be dumping on the market? That's the biggest concern. Now you can see there's a 12-month vesting period, which means that ultimately they have to hold those tokens. Those 27 million, 28 million tokens are going to be basically locked up for 12 months vesting. Okay, so public sale also has a vesting period of 6 months. So whoever got into that public sale, usually followed by a private sale. Okay, so then they have some liquidity readily available. I believe that's what that means. Liquidity ready available for maybe listing on exchanges or whatever. But I think they even have some other categories here. The advisors, that's 7.5 million. That's quite a bit. Okay, also and that's part of the team in my book. If you're an advisor, you're still part of the team. So between the advisors and the team, you got a good portion of the tokens. You're at about 30 something million, right, already in that category. And then operational, what's the difference between operational and the team at the end of the day? Who controls the operational? right? Is it part of the governance, like, or usually what is referred to the treasury is what the government governance token kind of regulates. It's whatever's in treasury, which we have below. But that's, again, the governance. What do they manage? Do they manage the marketing? Do they manage the airdrops? Do they manage the treasury? And do they, they manage the rewards? I'm not sure. Usually the contracts manage the rewards. So we're trying to basically assess how much of these tokens are issued to early stakeholders, including the team, because in my book, if you're early, you're a stakeholder almost equivalent to a team member. You got in so early that a lot is at risk. Right? A lot is at risk, and you're going to want to de-risk once the price goes really high up. And if the team owns 27 million in investing at 24 months, but the reality is there's a lot of tokens out there that are in early investors, early stakeholders of this project, which gives me a sense of, like, I want to know how many tokens are being held by some of these wallets. This is why I pressed the importance of having a scanner that shows us the ratio of wallets. I want to see the wallets in a pie graph like Etherscan does, and it doesn't have to be made by Kujira. Ideally, ideally they would come up with their scanner that has this information readily available. And again, guys, if anybody out there knows where I can find this, because I've been looking for it, and I even asked the team on Discord, and they gave me some random third-party applications, and the argument was, well, we should be able to trust third-party applications better than native applications, given the fact that third parties have no real affiliation. I get it, no doubt, but their utilities are crap and they're not clear and they're untrustworthy. Now, if I prefer coming out of Kujira and getting some of their metrics out of Kujira, and ultimately, if we can't trust them, that's a big issue. So why shouldn't we trust their utilities? I asked that question instead. Why shouldn't we trust their native utilities that will show us the wallets? If there's nothing to hide, then there's no issue. Okay, so without spreading any FUD, I would like to see the wallet distribution of all the tokens, since they're all in circulation, and given the fact that you can see that early investors and a lot of individuals that are early stakeholders into the project hold a significant amount of the tokens, whether they're vested for 12 months or 24, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, I want to see those wallets. Okay, so we can see where we're going with that. Okay, so ultimately, that's a bigger issue for me. Now, the release schedule will conclude on November 9th, 2023. That's already passed. So when the tokens will be fully vested, the vesting period is done. Are these tokens now going to hit the market? This is the issue here. I don't know what's going to be going on. We got to see those wallets. So let's make that priority, guys. Staking Kuji, again, passive income, that's pretty good. And then you have this, that, a lot of the Bluefin Orca. You have Kuji going on here. Kuji sustainability, lending, run a node, validators, community governance, staking. So a lot of good stuff here. A lot of good stuff. Amplifier, community. I wanted to see one thing: brand assets, colors, lots of good stuff here, no doubt. Social media, they did kind of like vote for proposals. If you want to get on there, you just got to be staked up here, and then you'll get those access, genesis, validator, allocation. Okay, pretty good. Honestly, we got into the majority of it. A lot of this is extra detail that you could obviously read on your own. I'm not going to be reading that to you guys. So let's move on. That's the white paper, and it gives you a lot of technicals. Pretty good stuff. That was the token distribution. I think that's very, very important. Let's continue. So the website is okay so far. Honestly, it kind of cut short. I would have liked a little bit more, but it kind of did its job. I don't know. I feel satisfied, but at the same time, a little unsatisfied. Liquidate, they do have a stable coin, if I'm not mistaken. It was front, right, and center in their previous website. Let's see if I can find anything. Is it this? Use your tokens collateral to mint USC. Is it this? Yes, it is. Let's see. I wish they had some info about it. USC. Okay, they don't really have anything. Maybe I missed it on the white paper. Let's see. Is it here? Maybe if I do a search. Let's do one of those guys. This is great. USC. Let's see. USC lending markets here. Stablecoin. There we go. So they do have their own stablecoin. Let's read about it a little bit, because ultimately when we hear stablecoin, we say, okay, that could be a point of risk. We've seen stablecoins depeg. We've seen stablecoins, go through the ringer before, and we definitely want to be prepared. What type of, stablecoin is this? And it's backed by some major tokens as collateral. Like we're talking about Atom, major coins, Atom, WBTC, Wrapped ETH, Wrapped BNB, Luna, which is up, coming back. It looks pretty good. Remember, this thing was built on Luna prior. Okay, and we got DOT and Pax Gold, which is good. Obviously pegged to the dollar, to the gold value. Mint USK by depositing collateral on Kujira platform. So that's good. So basically, you're backed by all those tokens, and I think they're over collateralized, which means there's a lot of good, backing there. So the peg to protect the peg, which is good, and so on and so forth. Guys, again, another area what you might want to look into, and this helps that that whole concept of keeping the value within the ecosystem in the circulatory way, right? So if you have your own stable coin, when you want to sell within using their DEX, for example, instead of getting into USDT, you're getting into USK, which basically keeps the your value, your capital within their ecosystem. That's a smart thing to do ultimately, right? You're not exiting or off ramping into any other ecosystem. You're staying right into the Kuji atmosphere, so to speak. Okay, so pretty good. What else do we got here? Okay, we got this, we did that. Let's take a look at Ether. Let's look at the CoinGecko. Right now it's at about $4.50. Okay, kind of went down a little bit in the last little while. I did this deep dive when it was a little bit higher. Okay, so, and I did the deep dive literally yesterday. I was wrapping it up. So the fluctuation sometimes happens, and my deep dives are not going to give you the exact accurate price and market cap, but of course we know how crypto is. It fluctuates really quickly, so take it for a grain of salt. Obviously you can touch up on the numbers as you go by. So we'll use these live right now. You can see that the market cap is at about 550 today, $550 million market cap. So it's not a large cap altcoin. We're not going to talk about Ethereum and Bitcoin. We're going to keep it as far as altcoins in general. For me, if you're under $1 billion, you're somewhat matured. You're medium to large. Okay, that's what I'm looking at right now. This is about a medium style, large type of altcoin. It's matured. The reality is, how much more could it go? It goes to 2 billion. Fine, you do another 5x. Okay, it could do really good to get to a slightly higher level. What are you going to get to? A $5 billion market cap? You're going to do a 10x. Okay, fine. It's very, very possible, and that is possibly the peak of a bull run type of scenario for Kujira, in my opinion. Obviously keeping very, very modest. We'll talk about my metrics and my overall, what I think it's going to hit in the bull run, my target. But ultimately we got to understand it's not a micro cap, it's not a low cap, it's not 50 million and under, it's not 100 million or 200 million. We're talking about 550 million, and it already ran up significantly in the last little while. The trading volume is decent. It's decent, but still in comparison to its market cap, it should be a little bit more. Okay, that's how I look at it. I want at least 10% of its circulating supply to be in trading volume, so I can see action. I don't want a stale token or a coin that's not doing anything. Okay, so we want to see volume, we want to see market participation. So liquidity gives you an indication that ultimately, if you want to sell, there will be buyers, and if you want to buy, there will be sellers. That's really wanting to see there. Fully diluted 550, of course, because all of them in circulation, as I mentioned in the past. And we also see a total value locked. A bunch of tokens are locked up, which is very healthy. And you know what I mean? Because ultimately that means that they're actually taken off of the market. So circulating supply is actually less, theoretically, because those are locked up, right? But they're still there to be unlocked as well. So we can't really totally expect them to stay locked forever, maybe to say, but they can hit the market if they want to. So let's just keep that into consideration. Circulating supply, okay, all the same, because of course everything is in circulation, so all these numbers are pretty much the same. And here we are at a max supply, circulating supply. All tokens are out there at 122 million tokens are definitely in circulation and hitting the market basically there. So very healthy. If you want to check out their website, they got some Medium links there. Of course, the Kujira Explorer, which we talked about, very basic, not really happening there. Check out the Twitter. We're going to talk about their Twitter engagement in a second. doing pretty good. We'll talk about their price in a second as well. And if we scroll down, you can see that right now all we have is Kujira, Fin, that's their DEX, and then you have MEXC. Of course, MEXC has it all, right? So here we have a MEXC scenario that basically that's one of the largest volume places to get it, right? That's where the trading volume's at. So if you want to find liquidity, you're going to MEXC and only MEXC. The DEXs in general don't have a lot of liquidity. That's one of their things, right? One of the negatives behind DEX is decentralized exchanges, but MEXC has the liquidity. They have 35% of the volume running through it, which is decent. And ultimately, I would like to see more exchanges, and a few more listings should be around the corner and give more volume and get more market participation, and obviously liquidity. We want to see more action into the market, into the volume, the trading volume. We need more. Okay, so not bad. This could be a negative, and this could also be a positive. And of course, we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. And again, unfortunately, I couldn't give you more with regards to the explorers because there is no really good data there. Okay, so that's going to obviously affect the risk, right? When you're assessing risk, as far as whether you're going to get in or not, you're going to assess risks, because really, ultimately, this is the only thing that I could really find out there, which is built by a third party, that shows me a bit of the stakers. And you can see, like, there's a bit of information here. The voting power here, top 33. This is the top 33 of wallets. Basically, this is the voting power, and they hold the majority. But who, like, you know what I mean? How many tokens do they have? This is a very vague voting power, and this is all staked, obviously, because they have voting power. But I want to see wallets. It's not just if they staked it. I want to know if they're holders. So I'm going to kind of leave this alone here, guys. Obviously, if you find a utility or something that could show us the wallet sizes, that would be awesome. Feel free to basically make a comment in the comment section below with that link if we can get that going. All right, guys. What else do we have here? You guys know that I do release an infographic. Let's take a look at that infographic real quick. This is Kujira, again, overview. If you feel free to go and read that. It's just a great project built on a great layer 1 or layer 0, basically Cosmos. Cosmos interoperability is its main idea, which Kujira definitely adds it as its value proposition. And of course, DeFi taking it to the next level, giving us access to whale-like financial instruments that we wouldn't have access to otherwise. So that's a good value proposition as well. Let's take a look at the coin info. Coin info, again, just to repeat, this is slightly outdated given the fact that the volatility has been in for the last little while, and it did bring down the price a little bit. Couldn't keep up with the price, but it's all good. It's somewhat in that range. We're gonna have to keep it up to date. Keep yourself up to date with the price. You know, crypto is the way it is, especially with the altcoins. They fluctuate quite a bit. So that's that. When I did it, the fully diluted market cap was at about 637 million. And then if we continue going here on the right, this hasn't changed. This is still fundamentals. We're talking about ecosystem. Really impressive ecosystem, you gotta admit. Even its ecosystem, which is its native ecosystem, the team has been building. They got Orca, Fin, Bao, Ghost, and the list goes on, and there's way more than that. So really, I kind of appreciate the fact that not only do they have a good layer 1, a good token with good fundamentals and a good choice of blockchain, but also they're relentless. They keep on going at it, and they got a good lineup of assets there that could allow us to use basically good projects. Utility, the token is used for payment for gas fees, rewards, proof of stake, participation, and governance. Very typical utility, but again, the utility is very pegged to the ecosystem, because the ecosystem requires this token in order to pay for fees, and ultimately those fees get used as rewards for token holders for the proof of stake participation, basically. So that's how it works. So the ecosystem and utility are highly intertwined together here, and because the ecosystem is strong, the utility is strong, and because the utility is strong, guys, the token price is going to drive upwards. This is what a lot of people don't understand, right? And if the token price goes up, the market cap will go up, and then it's going to start to compete with other major players out there in the same space. The thing is now, is in the short term, what kind of volatility could we expect? Despite the fundamentals, if it's overvalued in the short term, don't feel so negative or bearish. Just understand that volatility is there both on long-term and short-term volatility. In the short term, things could be a little bit, show you otherwise. Have conviction. Utility ecosystem is very, very important. The roadmap, it hit many of its milestones. Unfortunately, on the site, on this version, it wasn't up front and center like it was in the previous one. So we're going to have to dig around there. Feel free to dig around and find that roadmap. But the roadmap, when it was there, was great. It hit many of its key milestones despite its setbacks. No dates for accountability, unfortunate. And now on the new website, it's not front and center. So I don't really like that either. So we're going to, I kind of gave it a 9 out of 10. Maybe now I'll give it an 8 out of 10, because really a roadmap nowadays, it kind of leads you to believe where the team is driving, putting all its efforts. Like, where is its manpower going? What is the next target, right? So maybe I kind of flew by it. Maybe it was somewhere there, but again, it should have been up front and center. No dates for accountability. I understand small teams don't want to put dates, and trust me, I understand that. I understand the way this industry works, because when you're small, time is very hard to measure because you don't have manpower. Anything could happen, setbacks and things like that. Even anything could happen, really. Technical aspects things could hold you back. And ultimately, it doesn't mean that you don't want to achieve. It's just, these setbacks cause you to be delayed. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to follow through. It's just that, it's hard for you to keep up with individuals or projects that have massive teams and lots of, finance backing them to, overcome all the friction along the way. So I totally get it. Small team for accountability, no dates. I understand. Many new projects in the pipeline, which is much more important in my mindset, that they have a clear objective of keep on pumping. They're onboarding new third-party teams to build on top of their layer one, which is good, and they're being very selective to keep the quality nice and high. So that's really, really good. It's not like anybody can build on Kujira. You need to be kind of like, I think it goes through the governance. So that's really important. The team is semi-docs. I'm going to say it's semi-docs, given the fact that, all you get is a Twitter account. And Twitter accounts, with a lot of, tweets and retweets and things that really don't matter. And we want something a little bit more professional, right? At the end of the day, LinkedIn is a very popular thing nowadays to see where the team is coming from, at least their historical, which projects they worked on in the past, which companies they worked for, and a little bit about who they are professionally. It doesn't mean personally. So even if they do have a Twitter page or an X file or profile on X, that's totally fine. But what do we get out of a professional, as a professional, not as a social media individual? So in this case, they should have something on their website that kind of gives them a little bit of a synopsis of their previous experience. That would be so bullish. I know it's kind of getting into their personal life, and a lot of time, your personal life is protected. I get it. You want to be, private. I totally understand. But ultimately, if you're asking for people's money and support, it would be nice to know who you are to a better degree. So semi-docs for the team. The team is a beast, though. They do very well. It's a very small team, but they're putting all gears, basically. They're all on. They're definitely putting fuel to the fire, 100%. The socials, 8 out of 10. X followers, they have 96K, and for their size, they're doing pretty good in comparison to other projects that I've been looking at. So I'm really happy about that. 7K followers, so they're up. In the last little while, they've increased 68% in comparison to the previous month. So that means from the last month to this month, they're actually up 7K followers for the last 30 days. Great. But however, their post, their actual engagement went down 10%. It's not a huge down, but a little bit more would be good. However, their Discord, guys, their Discord is so slow. There's nobody there. I ask questions. You got to wait half a day to get a response. And I understand, maybe the team is busy and all that. But that's right now in an upcoming bull run where we get a lot of volume, a lot of interest, people asking questions. They need to have that somebody there really answering questions and engaging with the audience. So really 8 out of 10 for that. Let's get some fuel into Discord, into their grassroots community. I think that would be very, very important. Tokenomics, tokens are in full circulation. That's a bonus. And very little tokens are in distribution to the public. That bothers me. That bothers me a little bit. Like, you can see that the majority of the tokens are held by early investors, early stakeholders. So I'm going to use the word stakeholders because it encompasses, you know, the team. It encompasses all the first round of buyers when it was private sale, and then and then the early investors, and all those. And the reality is the general public only holds about 25%. The rest of it is tied up in marketing and other aspects of things, which is fine. But then again, show us some wallets. Again, back to we want to see the transparency. And I wasn't able to find a nice tool to show me the top wallets that are holding all the tokens, and for me, that's why the tokenomics are a bit scary for me. So 7 out of 10. I like the factor in full distribution, but without clear metrics, I'm not going to be able to go on the blockchain and basically add up all the wallets to figure this out. They need to have some sort of tool there that makes things a little bit more transparent. So that's my take. Again, feel free to share any utilities out there that you found that could help shed some light on this. It would be greatly appreciated, not only for me but for the community. Partnerships, 10 out of 10. Good. They got a lot going on. They're a bit vague. Like, are they partners? Are they just building on the ecosystem? But nonetheless, I kind of use them as partners because it seemed like they have a partner relationship there where they're working together. Calc Finance, Local, and Blackwell, all interesting projects. Go check them out. They should be good additions to their ecosystem regardless, and add value to their ecosystem. So really, really good, all related to DeFi. So good stuff there. The exchanges, as I mentioned, there's only Mexi and Fin. Low liquidity, obviously. Mexi is obviously doing okay nowadays, but still the volume is not there, guys. We're relying on Mexi to provide us a lot of the volume, the liquidity that we need to buy and sell. And for me, that's really an issue. If something happens to Mexi, we're going to lose a lot of the volume out there and liquidity. So for me, that's a problem. We need to see more exchanges, and obviously when we see more centralized exchanges listing, the price is going to continue to run. So this is either a good thing or a bad thing. It's a bad thing because you're taking a bit of risk for liquidity, not being able to sell. If this thing runs to a high price, you're going to have a few $1 million in your wallet. Let's say you're not going to be able to sell it, right? You're not going to find the liquidity, which is a problem. So ultimately, we need more liquidity out there, and the more exchanges, we need more exchanges. So more exchanges, more liquidity, more volume, more hype, more interest, higher the price. As soon as we get any listings, any signs of any listings on any major exchanges, you're going to expect this thing to continue running. So overall, pretty good, not too bad. A few things that need a bit of attention, but again, if I can't find it, that means they need to put some effort to make it up front and center. Okay, so that's important. The verdict, it's built on Cosmos. A bit of a repetition here, but it's okay. Built on Cosmos, inter-blockchain communication using IBC, which is a standard, a protocol on Cosmos. Very important there. Do your research if you want to know what that's all about, but it handles the interoperability concept. Part of the DeFi narrative, very important narrative, of course. It's basically the backbone of crypto, if you think about it. Bringing TradFi, traditional finance, that is otherwise not available to regular people, which is good. We're trying to reduce barriers to entry to some of those financial tools that whales can get a hold of that we can't, right? So that's a good value proposition. It's an older narrative, but a good value proposition. A very unique one. Very competitive space, however, a unique focus. Again, the space is matured, competitive, lots of offers out there of offering DeFi, but slightly unique standpoint here, which is good. They have their own stable, which is good, but also understand what it's all about, what stables are, and they're fully backed, they're fully over collateralized, so that's good. Tokens utilities primary focus is to drive the price. They understand the value behind utility, which is so important, guys. I say this very frequently. A lot of the times we look at the price and we look at the circulating supply, but we don't understand that at the end of the day, price can get diluted, no doubt, in a temporary moment when a lot of tokens hit the market and increasing the supply. But as long as the utility is strong, people will buy them up. And that's the reality. And because they're focusing on their ecosystem, ultimately the utility will go up. So this is good. This is a good thing that they're doing. It sounds like they have a real strong plan. Team is not fully doxed. Again, only Twitter pages. Teams to be small, very small team. Okay, which is, you got to understand that that's not a negative completely, but it is something that to consider. Extraction is good. Discord community could be more active, 100%. Website is good, but can offer a bit more information. They actually updated their website that happened just like in the last 24 hours, I think. And ultimately, in fact, they actually reduced the amount of information. I feel it's a lot smaller, it's a lot tighter, and sometimes having links to different pages are not the best. You need to organize the information that you have on your main page so it's a lot easier to navigate and get what you need out of deep dives. In fact, I think that websites should be basically organized based on deep dives. They got to think about what people are looking for and provide that information up front and center rather than hiding it in different crevices of the website. That's something that should be considered when you're designing a website 100%. Token holder distribution data needs to have a credible source or any data, and it shouldn't be relied upon a third party. Fine, third party could definitely be there, but they and themselves, Kujira team, needs to make a scanner that shows us the wallet distribution. We want to see the wallets. Okay, so that for me is an important thing. No matter what, I think that should be a top priority. It doesn't give us a sense of security there to see who's holding what and how many wallets are holding what. So for me, that's an important thing, a big issue right there. And then my final target, guys. Obviously, my ranking is right there, but my target. Guys, this is where things get a little hectic because a lot of the times people ask me, what's your bullish target? What is your target for the bull run? And ultimately, my main answer I feel like saying is, look, I don't have a crystal ball to tell you exactly where this thing's going to go, but we can use different metrics. And the market cap is the metric to use. The metric to use here is the market cap because we can compare the market cap of a project that has similar utility, similar value proposition, and look at what its market cap is now. And its market cap is an indication of how much of the pie they own at this current moment, not its future, at the current moment. So you kind of say, look, it's a competitor to Aave, and Aave holds X amount of the pie. Now, if Kujira can catch up based on the fact that Kujira not only offers similar utility, but it has extra added utility or a value proposition that is unique, and it should be a good competitor and maybe even take some of Aave's market cap. Look, it could catch up and do a nice 2x. Guys, that's not a lot. Just to catch up to Aave, which right now Aave is probably one of the major competitors out there. I don't always go for the top when I do when I try to, come up with a target, because that's not being modest. You can go for the best project out there, the largest market cap, but that's not going to help. Try to keep yourself very modest. So I'm looking at, okay, if it reaches Aave, you're doing a 2x, that's about, slightly $1 billion, slightly over $1 billion market cap. For me, that's 2x is not enough. However, when you start looking at the fact that the market in general is still right around that $1 trillion mark, and the previous high of the total market was at about $3 trillion, we still have a lot of room to grow or a lot of room to go until we reach the previous market cap, the total market cap. But that's not even making a higher high in crypto in general. So I start to think, ultimately, there's a lot of room here. So it could be very possible that we see a 10x here. It's very possible that we see Kujira hit a $5 million market cap in an absolutely raging bull run where everything runs up and we hit the total market cap hits maybe about 5 trillion. That would be a nice higher high. That would give a lot of new projects the opportunity to compete with one another and not only take some market cap from projects that are not keeping up to par, but also absorb new capital that's coming into the crypto space in general, exceeding the $3 trillion market cap that we hit in the previous high. So that $2 million extra, let's say, if we hit that 5 billion. So $5 billion market cap is possibly a good target. And the question is, how much could Kujira take of those 5 billion if we hit that level? Right, so $5 trillion market cap overall. That's what we're looking at here for crypto in the bull run. So ultimately, a nice, $50 is very possible. $5 million market cap at 10x. I say that's a good target. Now, anywhere between 2 to 10x is a good job here, in my opinion. Ultimately, de-risking at certain levels is very important because don't have those bullish price targets without thinking twice. Have some, a plan and take it day by day. Obviously, here on the channel, we talk about crypto on a momentum basis. If we see that the momentum hits a level, we're going to start to de-risk, right? We're going to start to de-risk, especially large focus momentum. We're going to start to de-risk. But ultimately, we'll talk about the price. I know you want to talk about price, but I give this project an 8 out of 10 just because there's some things that it needs to improve. Okay, so that's my take here. Guys, I know you want to talk about charts, so let's do it. Let's take a look at Kuji. What has Kuji been up to? Kuji's been running. Kuji did a nice, great breakout to the upside out of this sideways consolidation for the longest period of time. Let's get into the daily here, and you can see a nice bottom here, a nice level of support, fat accumulation range at the point of control, and started running as a breakout, guys. If you were able to scale in anywhere around this zone, guys, you're definitely in the green. But the question is, if you're on the sidelines, should you be buying in right now? Should you be looking for buying the dip? Guys, let's look at this in a little bit more detail. So obviously we're going to have to close this chapter. This chapter is long gone. In my opinion, the worst case scenario from a bearish perspective, we retest some of this breakout structure, but let's get to that in a second. What we have to actually really look at is what we're producing here at the tops. It is a higher high, very clearly, nice impulsive move, something that we did discuss here on the channel previously, but we also can't negate the fact that the market in general could be looking for a bigger retracement, ultimately driven by Bitcoin. And that's why on the channel I talk about Bitcoin quite a bit, because in fact I don't even really focus on trading Bitcoin very much. I just use it as an indication. Right now Bitcoin, we see it really high up there, kind of frothy, and if Bitcoin decides to make a correction, we're going to expect that altcoins come down. And if an altcoin has run up significantly in the last little while, what you have to look at is where are the good levels of support to expect the price to bounce off of. So let's start with that. Right now we can do some horizontals. We'll stick with the daily and we'll look at horizontal support. Clear horizontal support right here, no doubt about it. Another one is right here, where we are right below this volume gap. You can see empty space right here. I'm going to reuse this box because this no longer is relevant. All these charts, guys, are available on the Discord, so feel free to join that Discord so you can check those out. I keep my charts for accountability, not for only for myself, but for my strategy. I want to make sure my strategy is on point. And so far we've been killing it, guys. We've been getting entries like real bottom prices, so really good stuff here. And that's what I plan on doing, is continuing using risk as a metric to get me into great entries, right? So we can also keep this going. Let's keep this here for now, for a second, and we'll kind of scooch this over, because as time passes, you know, a lot of the price action needs to be updated. So I'll do it here with you guys, and you can see that we have a nice volume gap right into here, an empty space that basically suggests that if we break below that spot, if we break below the $2.84, it is very likely that we start rolling over and we start coming down. Now, if that's the case, guys, you know, we're coming down, not looking good. And then obviously looking at a $1.60 perhaps for a buy opportunity. So do we get there? Maybe. And what are we going to do if we hit the $2.80 mark? The $2.85 mark is also a good mark, because ultimately that would be the invalidation of the bullish thesis, right? If we kind of break above, we're going up, we break above and we stay above, we're probably going to reach range highs at about $4 again. So let's look at this in a little bit more detail here. So if you look at it, we're making a nice higher high here, which is really good. The volume is slowly contracting as we're making that higher high. So that's something that we got to understand, is that although the price is moving for that higher high, the volume in this impulse and this impulsive move to the upside is actually smaller than this impulse, which is a sign of divergence ultimately. So we got to understand that. Let's make sure that we are very clear on divergence on the volume. Okay, so I'm not going to have, I don't think I'm going to be able to keep that there because it's going to move around, but we'll leave it there for now. And you can see the higher highs on the price action, lower highs on the RSI. That's class A bearish divergence right now. Okay, and we see a very similar thing happening here on the MACD as well. We see the RSI, the EMAs coming down as well in a very descending type of fashion. Both the RSI, the EMAs and the histogram bars are both descending like this, making lower highs. You can see that very downward sloping price momentum. Okay, so we're almost getting confirmations on both momentum oscillators that we're rolling over, right? Well, I wouldn't consider it just yet, okay, because we've seen a lot of invalidations of bearish divergences in the last little while. But as you go on larger time frames, as time passes, as you get more drives to the upside in those bearish divergent states, the likelihood is probability statistically that we eventually get that follow through. So we got another impulse. We were up here, very, propped up, and we hit a good level. Now, what kind of extension level are we at right now? Let's see if we can see extensions. Did we hit the 1.27, the 1.618 extension? We pretty much got very close to the 1.27. Okay, so let's put a horizontal there as well. And we can also put one at the 1.618 extension level to pretty much say, look, if we hit that level, that's the last one, I'm out. I'm interested in protecting myself. So it's very likely. So let's put this here. This is a trend. We only got 2 touches so far. So we'll make this dotted so we can say, like, at the end of the day, look, it's not a confirmed trend because usually we wait for 3 touches. But we got 2 touches with bearish divergence. Okay, now this volume gap right here, we got a rejection already at the 1.27 pretty much, and we're coming back down. The next level of support that I think that is important, obviously, is down at about $4. If we get to about $4 and change right above, I would front run a little bit. You're in a spot for potential a good retracement. Now, if we do a Fibonacci in the opposite direction, not for extension level, but we look at it for a retracement level from this swing low. Okay, let's be not so accurate because of those wicks. This is the 1.618, the golden pocket retracement, 618 retracement. This is the 0.5 fib. So in this area is probably where we could get some support in the short term. But the question is what if we keep on breaking lower? So what I'm also saying is that we could get a reactive move here, and something that we need to consider. Let's put a green arrow here. So this is an area that interests me. This is also an area that interests me. Okay. And we're looking at the bearish perspective because it's a lot easier right now. This thing's been running. How can we not focus on the weaknesses below that it left hanging out, right? We can't negate the fact that it could even get down to here. Look at this empty volume gap. And obviously there's more empty spots that I want to keep an eye on. I'm going to remove this so we can clean this up a little bit. And what else do we have? We can leave this here maybe if we get down to this level. In fact, we can just leave that right here. Just tidy this up, keeping your charts a bit tidy as best you can, especially if you're messy like I am. It's nice to keep somewhat organized. And you can see, look at that. Okay, so we're a lot better here. This was an area of interest. Obviously, we got that divergence here and we broke it out. We just basically invalidated it. So the question is, do we invalidate this bearish divergence that's happening? It could be possible. This is why we have those extension levels. We have the 1.618 right up here. Extension level, it could hit that level, and that's where you got to continue de-risking, right? And then obviously the level that we already hit is very close to the 1.27 extension, which again was a nice TP zone type of scenario, right? So all in this area is great. Okay, so that's why it's always front running is a little bit better, because you can ensure that you walk away with a bit of gains. Now ultimately, I don't think this is going to come down hard and quick with one shot. I expect some sort of reaction here. I expect a confirmation high, a lower high, even a double top, to give us a bit of a confirmation that we're rolling over. Right now, we're still making higher highs and higher lows. So that means essentially the trend is still our friend until otherwise. So what do we do here? I would be waiting patiently here. I wouldn't be completely exiting positions. I would understand that we need to break a change of structure still. And proof of that change of structure would be a confirmation high, a lower high. So what I'm saying is we could see the price come down around here, get some support, and then come right back up. Let's do this a little bit better because that's too wide. Something like that, and then all of a sudden come back up, maybe make a lower high. That would be a confirmation low, a confirmation high, a lower high, maybe double top with continued bearish divergence, follow through on the momentum oscillators, the RSI, or maybe even a slightly higher high, continuing the divergence, not making a higher high on the RSI, and the RSI is still downward sloping. That's what we really want to see, is this RSI continue downward sloping, because as soon as the RSI breaks above this downward sloping type of momentum, it starts to invalidate the bearish divergence, which then ultimately means that we're going up even further. So what we really have to understand is that entry right now is quite dangerous. Entry at the current moment, you're buying likely to be buying a top. I will be waiting for confirmations of a retracement and some horizontal support of that retracement. The daily, by the time that happens, the best place the best case scenario is getting support off the chop zone at the 50% mark of the RSI, like we have done in the past. But what about if the daily gets oversold? and the daily comes all the way down here, right? Let me show you what I mean. And that's what the risk you're taking going long right now, is that this eventually might come back up. Sure, we might come up for a confirmation high, higher high, like I said, double top, lower high, whatever it is. We come down and then we confirm it and we respect the divergence and follow. Finally, we get that follow through and come down here. If we come down to the oversold conditions, guys, the price is going to come down. And the question is how low? We hope that it might hold support right here. We don't know that. It may hold support at $4. We need proof of that. We're going to come down there, see the momentum. We'll get into the 4 hour to see where the momentum hits. We'll get in the 4 hour in a second, but you get what I mean. We want to see confirmation that we might, even if for a short-term bounce on the 4 hour, we can get in, but we need the 4 hour oversold at least. But the daily might even get all the way down to about $2.85, 86 cents. And if the daily oversold condition gets there, that's the buy the dip opportunity. And then we cannot negate the fact that this price action here is pretty empty. There's nothing happening there. You can see that the price action pretty much no support whatsoever there. Look at the volume profile. Very few little wicks here that could act as support, so we got to be careful. But ultimately, this volume gap is here for a reason. We have the 200 daily trailing up, which can potentially do something like this over time, where it kind of does one of this, and then finally maybe we come and we start using it as support and we get the bounce. So ultimately, that would be the bearish scenario, but ultimately bullish, because we'll be slamming some buy orders right into there. It's because we would want to accumulate for the next impulsive move. And big picture, a bigger confirmation low like this just confirms this low, that it was the low. So we kind of want to back test and then continue to the upside, right? And that was all based on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin does that retracement, even down 30% for a little 30% retracement, a breather, 30% breather, altcoins will take a bigger hit, guys. They'll come down, maybe down to the 786, the 886 retracement, which we can see right now. The 886 is all the way down at $2.84. Healthy retracement from this low. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on it. Let's get into the 4 hour. Let me make sure. Let's go into 4 hour. Yeah, let's go 4 hour. And you can see that ultimately it's not oversold or overbought for a good while, which means that it's likely to kind of just keep on ranging here for the next little bit. If we continue making slightly higher highs, that's fine. They'll be slight. But if you want to get into a long, you're going to have to wait for this momentum on the RSI to at least get somewhat oversold. Now, you can see a bit of a trend here happening. I'll show you what I mean. And sometimes the RSI does respect it, actually more often than not. Look at this trend that we got, 1, 2, 3 touches. Do we respect this, or do we finally break through and get oversold? This is the risk you're taking. If you see this thing finally come down, sorry guys, if you see this thing come down and do one of these and start breaking down, we're coming oversold. And on the 4 hour, that might be an opportunity to accumulate like we did here. And if you look at the previous if you look at the price action, every time we are at that oversold condition, the probability of getting a bounce off of horizontal support increases drastically. So this is the issue here right now. It's very likely that you'll be buying tops and you'll become exit liquidity. In my opinion, obviously not financial advice, I would be looking for accumulation phases that are more presentable in oversold conditions than overbought conditions. And on the 4 hour, it's not really giving me much. We're in the chop zone, kind of going sideways here, not really oversold or overbought, really in extremity. And the daily is exiting overbought conditions and looking for confirmation highs and slowly potentially getting this class A bearish divergence totally basically going to the downside. And mind you, now that I have it right here on the daily, you could see this happen. Where's my pen? We can see this happen, something like that, and then which ultimately still the divergence, and this could be another drive to the upside and still diverging. This is the issue with using only divergences in a raging bull run or in a strong uptrend, because they get invalidated. You get another higher high, another impulse while still maintaining that divergence. The issue is that you need to take profits, because ultimately this divergence will follow through, and then you'll be left with your mouth open holding a bag of red. Okay, guys, so that's my take. That's what I think. Obviously, none of this is financial advice, guys. Thank you for stopping by. If you found any value in this deep dive, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button, and of course feel free to join me on those socials. The links are in the description. Join the Discord, guys. It's a great community, lots of good alpha, trade setup, fundamentals, and learning material. And ultimately, guys, I'm live each and every day at 7:30 Eastern talking about crypto news and price action. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.